What it do? It's your boy Big Snoop D-O Double G coming at you live from Los Angeles. And my DJ Mikey D. D is in these nuts.
D-O Double.
Wow, I hadn't heard that. Snoop did that when he was here? Wow.
That's a nice drop.
Deion Sanders, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and my good friend, right here in person on the Rich Eisen Show.
I'm happy, man.
Good to see you.
I'm happy to finally be here. This is nice, man.
Thanks, Prime. Thanks.
This is moving on up like the Jeffersons, baby. This is
well,
Susie, better known as Wheezy.
Yes. Yes, I will take that. Well, I know you and I have known each other now for over 10 years, and one of the first things you said to me when I first got to know you, you're like, you got to get your own show.
You got to get your own show. You deserve it, man.
You've been telling me that for a very long time.
Because you need you can't just be entrapped to just football. Because you have a wealth of knowledge on all things. And you're charismatic, charming, quick-witted.
I'll take that from you, man.
You're hilarious, man. And that's hard to do when you just a setup man for us in football.
Well, and you know what? I greatly appreciate that, Prime. And, you know, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff here over the next couple of segments. And 844-204-RICH, I assume you don't mind taking phone calls.
Oh, I want to talk to the folks.
Okay, good. Prime will take some phone calls here. Let's first order of business. You heard what Marvin Harrison had to say.
Wow.
When asked an innocuous question about being concerned
about... See, that's what I mean right there. I don't know what innocuous means, but when you throw out stuff like that and just say, dang, he's really intelligent. I don't even know what it means, but...
The question was, well, it wasn't like putting T.O.'s name in Marvin's mouth. It was, are you concerned about a split vote, or were you concerned about a split vote? And then he went all in on...
He went all in on T.O. He ain't leaving nothing.
What do you think about it?
I don't like it, first and foremost. I don't like any players or former athletes to go off, or even present to have a discord with one another. It's not right, and I don't know where it materialized. I'm sure he feels that T.O. suggested something about him, and he was just firing back. Because Marvin is normally never on the offensive. He's never the guy that initiates
He never
something.
talks.
Yeah, I know. But for him to be that vocal, that's probably the most words I've ever heard Marvin talk since I've known him.
Yeah. No, but your ear is to the ground more than anybody else's. Yeah. Is there something going on between the two?
It has to be. Well, first of all, you know receivers, man. Come on. You know, receivers are different breeds, man. It seems though the cornerbacks are, but the receivers, they're in constant competition, a lot like the corners. In those two positions, you got diva-aristic characteristics, if I could just make up some stuff right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know how they are, and that's what you get in the NFL with today's players and yesterday's as well.
Now, we spent so many hours, countless hours on NFL Network Live during the T.O. years. Yeah. So I was saying the two players that kept us late for work more than ever was Favre with his whole will he retire or won't he?
True.
And then T.O. with everything that was going on in Philadelphia, et cetera, et cetera. What can you tell us about T.O.?
I think T.O. is a very misunderstood person. He's very passionate, very emotional, very he's a loyal guy to what he believes in and to where he is. If he's with you, he's with you. If he's not, he's not. There's no ifs and buts about it. And I really like him. At some point, sometimes I feel bad for him that he is misunderstood. It's like he says something and then is taken out of context because he didn't articulate it in the depth that he wanted to, and it's misinterpreted. So I feel sorry for him in that note. And I think he'll go down in history, and he thinks this as well, as a guy that you really never got to know. He really wants you to know him. And we still, to this day, a lot of people don't. I do, and a lot of people don't know.
Right. Well, you never played with him, but what type of teammate was he, though? That's what people are talking about in the locker room. What was he like from what you heard?
His teammates, first of all, the defensive guys loved him because they know he went out to work. He practiced every day, practiced his butt off. Right. The only discord he would have with his teammates would be with the quarterback or the coordinator. Because one thing that they don't give T.O. credit for is having knowledge of the game. T.O. was a very smart football player. And when you line up, oftentimes as a receiver, you can look at the defense, and you know where that ball's supposed to go. And he wasn't arguing the majority of the time that the ball should come to him, but at least throw it to the guy that it's supposed to go to,
right,
so we can win.
And he would be vocal about that.
And he would be vocal about that.
Oh, sometimes a little too vocal, though, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
Do you ever play with anybody like that?
Yes, every receiver on every team I played with was the same. Yeah, it was the same way. They was the same way. They were vocal about that football, and they wanted every ball.
Well, I'm going to take a quick phone call here. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm just looking down. Jay in Texas, you're on with Deion Sanders here on the Rich Eisen Show. You there, Jay?
Hey, thanks, Rich, for taking my call.
You're on with Prime.
I got a question for Mr. Sanders there. Hey, Deion, I was born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and I did a lot of youth coaching when I was growing up. And one of the kids that I coached at ages 12, 13, and 14 was Andre Rison.
Yeah.
Well, he was probably one of the most talented kids I ever dealt with in my life. And what was it like when you were facing him and some of the battles you and Andre went up against?
Our best battles came at practice. Andre was a superb receiver, worked his butt off at practice, ran great routes, had a burst out of this world, could catch anything close to him. Andre Rison, I think if he had stayed on course, he would have certainly been a Hall of Famer. That does not discount what he contributed to the NFL. He was one of my favorite. Andre was like a brother to me, and I felt like a lot of people don't understand. That's why we fought, because it was like one brother leaving another brother, and Andre got upset really because I left.
He got upset when you went to the 49ers?
Yes, that's what that whole that's what those shenanigans were about.
When you went down, when you threw down.
Yeah, yeah.
He was upset. Why? Because
we were brothers, man, and I left. You know, with no explanation, really no nothing, because Atlanta never offered me another contract, and I left, and he was there, and we were really, really close.
How much was, and thanks for the call, Jake, how much was your baseball playing an issue in Atlanta
It
with the
wasn't an
Falcons?
issue.
Not at all?
No, not at all. Because my teammates knew me, and they knew when I came to play, I came to play, no matter what. And I would practice all day with them and jump on a helicopter and go play in a baseball game. And that wasn't to be prime, but that's to make sure I'm fulfilling obligations for both organizations.
That you got there.
Yes.
But the showiness of it.
How else you going to get down to 85 at 5 o'clock?
Well,
you know?
No, I know that, but that plays into the brand as well,
Right.
that you were cultivating at the time, right? Pretty much, or no?
Yeah, but I never ordered a helicopter. I never paid for it. I never wrote a check for a helicopter whatsoever. It was offered. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Come get me.
You would take it.
Yeah.
Now, what was it like though back then? Because I'm loving this. I've always wanted to have this conversation with you. Now, finally, I have a forum in which to do it. When you were going between the Falcons and the Braves,
Loved it.
what in the world was that like?
It was great, but then again, it wasn't, because you constantly stayed in the spotlight, and it was no downtime. After the Pro Bowl, 2 weeks off, you're back to spring training. But it was very comfortable because you were in the same city, so you kept the same residence. But the travel was off the chain, especially for baseball.
But it's also the preparation too.
Well,
because you're
not really, because I stayed in shape. And I always separated the two. I have a keen ability to compartmentalize things in my life. So when I played baseball, I played baseball. No talking about football. When I played football, I played football. No conversation about baseball.
But what happens when they were at the same time?
Until the end, when they overlapped.
Right.
But still, I wasn't in the football locker room saying, man, I can't wait to go to baseball practice. It wasn't like that. It was like, hey, Prime, man, you leave me 4 tickets tonight, got you, dog. That was it.
But is your preparation for a football week? You told me all the time that you would, the night before a game, you'd have film, right?
Watch a lot of
video?
Film. Watched a lot. Well, all week. I watched a lot
all
of
week.
Film. Studied a lot of
That's
film.
what you're doing?
Yep.
Okay. But you also know, in Major League Baseball, you study the pitchers too, though.
Yep.
How did you do all that?
Well, because one was natural. Football was my natural habitat. I could roll out of this and cover. I'm Linus, baby. I keeps my blanket. I could cover.
Right.
Okay, baseball was such a tremendous challenge, man. And all men love challenges. Baseball was something I needed in my life because I needed to be challenged. And I never conquered it. But I loved the challenge of it. And I loved trying to master it.
Can you tell me what happened with Carlton Fisk?
Carlton Fisk lied, man.
What happened?
I wish we could roll back the tape, man. I really do wish we could get that moment.
This is your rookie season?
I was talking to a kid, a kid in Yankee Stadium right there on the first base side.
Right.
And the kid, I say, man, good to know you.
When you're on the on-deck circuit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm getting ready to hit. So now I swing, the bat flies out of my hand. It's headed over there to this area. So I was so concerned about that bat flying in them stands, I wasn't thinking about running the ball. I lost. And he was like, run the effing ball out. You watch. I'm like, so I came back the next at bat. I said, look, man, you don't know me like that. And, you know, I'm from Fort Myers, Florida. I ain't taking no junk from nobody.
Whether it's Carlton Fisk or not?
I don't, first of all, I didn't care. I wasn't with the love and respect for players as I grew to understand. So I don't use profanity. So you using profanity at me, and I don't even know you? So that's what transpired.
Did you draw a dollar sign in the dirt?
Never in my life.
Never?
Everybody who ever played with me, I grew up in Fort Myers. First of all, in especially the ethnic little leagues, we didn't have a batter's box. We didn't have chalk. So you would emulate a batter's box. So I always drew a half circle my whole career. And I drew like a V where my back foot started, and I drew another V at the front where my front foot started. That's what I always drew in the batter's box. So he lied about a dollar sign. It was a lie. You could pull up the tape, play it, show it, and he lied.
And the reason why you didn't run it out is you were concerned.
I was concerned. If you have the footage, you can see where my eyes were peeled, were just focused.
Deion Sanders here on the Rich Eisen Show. We're back in 60
That's like
ticks.
a 30-year-old lie.
Well, I'm unpacking a whole bunch of stuff I've always wanted to ask you.
Unpack it, baby.
We're
You're going to
doing
get
that.
the truth.
Deion Sanders.
This is better than the OJ trial.
Right here. Back in a minute with more. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Deion Sanders here in studio. So much more I want to ask you from your baseball days and your football days, but we have somebody just called into the show.
We got to take the call.
We do. Terrell Owens has just called into the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, T.O.?
I'm good. How are you?
You're on with Prime, too.
T.O., what's up, boss?
Oh, what's up, Prime Time? What's up?
You, man, you are up right now.
I know, man. Something's always going on with me.
So what's happening here, Terrell?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I woke up, yesterday to tweets and messages that Marvin Harrison had given an interview, and obviously they had some excerpts from that interview that he had done, and he was basically saying to hell with me and all this other stuff and quit complaining and this, that, and the other. But the thing is I never complained. I answered questions that were directed toward me during Radio Row, during the whole induction process, and again, I never complained. I just said, I felt disrespected in regards to what the Hall of Fame was supposed to be about. And so again, I never said a bad word about Marvin Harrison, and I think there was some audio that was I did where I mentioned some of the things that I guess the gun charge or what have you, but that was
That was it.
But that was in regards to people saying stuff about character issues, and they mentioned Marvin Harrison, and so I basically kind of just chimed in on what had transpired with him in terms of you want to talk about character issues, and that's what it's supposed to be. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be about.
Yeah, but that was it. I didn't know that was said. I'm sure that was what lit a fire up under Marvin Harrison's, because I knew that's not his character. So I knew it had to be something that he heard you say, or he assumed that you said that was a direct shot at him, that he was retaliating. Now that substantiates it.
Right, but like I said, in regards to that, there are a number of guys. I only mentioned that because the topic was, the subject was that we were two receivers that were up for the Hall of Fame, and so again, I mentioned other guys that have been inducted, and there will be others that have had some off the field issues that fall under that category of character issues. And so that was my point in bringing that up. So other than that, I didn't feel like that was a shot at him. I didn't feel like that was me bad talking him.
That's a shot.
Bad mouthing.
T.O., that's a shot. I mean, I know you don't see it that way, but let me tell you something, my brother. And I've always told you when you're right, I tell you when you're wrong. To him, that's a shot. Now, if it's the same thing, and a guy like, let's say, Rod Woodson, would say, well, Prime, I should be in there. Prime didn't tackle nobody, but I did that. First of all, I say you're lying. You have no film to document that Prime didn't tackle. That's number one. Secondly,
Right.
I would take that as a shot. So I can see how, I just want you to see how he could take that if you're in his shoes, how he can
Right.
take that as a shot towards him. When you two are the receivers up that year, the highest ranked receivers up that year to go into the Hall of Fame in the first ballot. Not the first ballot, but to go into the Hall of Fame.
Well, it would have been for T.O.
Would have been T.O. for
Would have
T.O.
been for you, T.O., for first ballot. So
Right.
So what do you think this goes from here, T.O.?
Well, I've already tried to shed light on it. I just left ESPN and I talked to Kerry. We did a live segment probably about an hour ago. And again, my point of emphasis was this has, and whatever he may have taken from what I said, that was not again a direct insult at him. For me, my point was making that it basically addresses the flaw in the system of the Hall of Fame and the process. And so for me personally, this has nothing to do with Marvin Harrison. So when I woke up yesterday, I was kind of blindsided by everything as well. And so again, I did a number of radio things during Radio Row, during the Super Bowl. I've done a number of interviews, so I didn't even recall saying it until they played it. So other than that, again, I don't have any problems with him. Never have. I don't even
Yeah, you do now.
having a conversation.
Well, you do now. I know you didn't, but you do now have a problem.
Well, I really don't.
Yeah, well, T.O., we was talking about you before you got on the phone, and Rich was asking me about you. And I really think you're one of the most misunderstood athletes in our generation, that people really don't know you. Although you've tried to introduce them to her by a reality show, by even with several teams that you played for. But do you think that's a fair assessment, that people really don't know you?
Well, absolutely. And I think now, we're in an era where, social media is really prevalent. And I think guys have used those platforms to really kind of dispel or dispute anything that may be going on with them. Again, I was at that era where I was kind of phasing out of the league when this started. So had I had that platform to do some of those things, I think that would have helped me in a lot of situations. But again, over my course of my career, there was a lot of scenarios, incidents that had happened where had I had that platform to do that, I would have. But my only defense in trying to do that was doing one-on-one interviews I did with you and other people or what have you. But again, the entirety of the interview wasn't disclosed. It was edited and it was sound bites that really didn't show or didn't really show the real me, and it made it look worse than what it was. And so again, as you said, I tried to allow people in to understand who I was, but again, there was a lot of, scenarios where I tried to do that, and it just didn't help.
Well, I hope this all gets smoothed out or smoothed over or whatever, because you and Marvin are going to be roommates for a very long time at some point.
Well, again, like I said, I tried to do the best that I could, and really explaining, what I meant. I didn't really try to take a shot at Marvin. I basically was trying to shed light on the fact that when you bring up character issues, I never really had any character issues. When you talk about inducting guys that have had, off the field incidents such as his. And so again, that brings up a character issue for me. So again, just because somebody doesn't like me, or there are things that, went on with the teams that I was with, then again, everybody's had issues. Everybody's had arguments with their teammates or disagreements. There are a number of guys that have, butted heads with their coaches, things of that nature. So I just fail to understand why, when I did it, that it became such a big deal, and the media has basically unfairly criticized me and portrayed me in a light that, that calls now, like when something is said really minuscule, it makes it a big deal.
T.O., thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
You, man. God bless you, T.O.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thank you, man.
You bet. That's Terrell Owens here on the Rich Eisen Show. And what he was saying at the end there, Prime, I mean, you've heard this for a very long time from him, is that his sit-ups and push-ups on the lawn, you know, what happened there with Philadelphia, what happened in Dallas.
San Fran.
Okay. All of those things to him, I think it rankles him that many people view that and raise it to the level of people who have been hit with DUIs.
Right.
People who have been. He's never been arrested.
Yes.
For
yes
something or accused.
But character. He's taking arrest and ignorance, domestic stuff, and all of that as really character. But character is also getting along with your team, getting along with your coaches, with management, and not being ousted out of cities as well. That's character as well. But I do understand he's making a dispute between the two. I wasn't that. I may have been this, but I wasn't that.
Do you think that should be a factor in whether somebody gets in the Hall of Fame?
No, I think the game is the game, because it all comes down to numbers, what you're trying to say, and what you did on the field. That's what they told us. That's what it comes down to.
What do you mean they told you?
When you're going, first of all, let's underscore this. I didn't give a darn.
No, I know.
No, I want to say this, and it amazes me how a guy that has so much bravado, and he's so this and he's so that, need the affirmation of men to tell them who they are and who they were, to feel like they're that guy. I ain't give a darn if you told me I was a Hall of Famer. I knew I was one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever, so I didn't need your affirmation. I'm thankful. Oh, appreciative, by far, because we got to bless 7 busloads worth of kids and families to go on that wonderful journey to the Hall of Fame.
You barnstormed with your youth football team.
My youth team organizations, but not needing the affirmation of it. And you would think that, why would they take it that far? That you start critiquing and criticizing all these people about how you feel about me. Now, back to...
But they tell you that it's not supposed to...
It's not supposed to be about the off-the-field endeavors. It's supposed to be about what transpired on the field.
I don't know if that's the case.
It should be.
Deion is here. You going to stick around? Can you stick around?
Oh, man, I ain't going nowhere. I'm in the Ridge. It's comfortable in here.
I like it. Deion Sanders is here. There's
a
some more
couple
phone
things I
calls
want
as
to
well.
take, too, by the way.
Say it again?
It's so nice to hear you think about stealing stuff. You know, it's not right.
Whatever's not nailed down is
But I'm saying it's not right, but that's the way I feel. Okay. I'm just sharing.
Deion Sanders here.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon Eastern. Days at noon Eastern. On Audience. On Audience.